Meet Brian. He's 52 years old, a high school science teacher in Connecticut, and after nearly 3 decades in the classroom, he's beginning to think seriously about retirement for the first time. Specifically, he's thinking about where he wants to be physically and spiritually in this next life chapter, and whether he'll have enough to fund things like meditation retreats and a modest cabin somewhere in nature, ideally in the mountains. Brian recently sold his home, paid off all of his debt, and is now aggressively trying to strengthen his teacher pension, which is the one thing that will define most of his retirement income. To that end, he's back in school, taking additional graduate-level courses, specifically so he can increase his salary before retirement, because in Connecticut, pension payouts are based on a teacher's highest earning years. And for Brian, that pension matters enormously, as it's set to replace 70 to 75% of his salary in retirement. In terms of other savings, Brian has around $300,000 in a mix of high-yield savings accounts and an IRA. Brian is asking the question that many of us ask, which is, when can I stop working? But he's also asking another incredibly important one, which is, what kind of life do I want to build while I'm still healthy enough to live it? Because there's another important layer to Brian's story. He's single and openly talks about wondering what aging with friends will eventually look like.
As a gay man, I won't have any dependents, I don't have any children, and sometimes I think to myself, how is that going to look when I start needing home care or whatever? So a number of my friends, we've actually seriously entertained the idea of sort of having like a commune, where several of us move into a home together and then pay for a live-in nurse together. Like, kind of set up our own senior citizen kind of home. So it's something that is out there and people do talk about it in my community.
In other words, Brian already understands better than most that retirement planning is just as much about community, purpose, identity, and support systems as it is about money. So what's a good game plan for Brian? First, he needs to get a real retirement roadmap in place. At 50, everyone needs a pre-retirement checkup. Brian has already started that process by reaching out to a financial advisor who specializes in teachers, and that's exactly the right next step. Second, he needs to look at what his retirement is actually going to cost. He'll want to explore, what would life in Connecticut cost? What would life in that mountain cabin cost? What would healthcare cost before Medicare, since he's planning to retire before 65? What kind of travel and spiritual retreat budget does he want? Essentially, he's got to assign some numbers to the life he wants. Third, Brian needs to put more of his money to work long term. Right now, much of his savings is sitting in high-yield savings accounts. But because his pension acts as a stable financial floor, he likely has the ability to take a little more investment risk with the rest of his portfolio to help create long-term growth. With these items in place, I have no doubt that Brian will get that mountain cabin and have the freedom to explore the places and possibilities he most wants. I hope you enjoyed hearing about Brian's journey. Be sure to check out the other videos in this series, which explores how real people can achieve the retirement they want most by having a plan for turning their savings into income.